Hi, I'm Julie Banderas, and you're in the Strategy Room. Congressional members from both the House and the Senate are inquiring about possible meddling by George Soros in foreign affairs, specifically in Macedonia. Republican leaders are responding to reports the billionaire mega donor to liberal causes is trying to pull influence in the Balkan states by bolstering left-wing groups. Here to discuss are the former Deputy National Finance Director of the DNC, David Mercer, and former Deputy Assistant to President George W. Bush, Brad Blakeman. Thank you, gentlemen, for talking to me today. Brad, let me start with you. The reports allege that Soros' Open Society Foundation was selected to implement U.S. foreign aid. So how did someone as controversial as George Soros get this position in the first place?
Well, that's a good question, and that's why Congress has to look into it. Hopefully it will be bipartisan. Look, this guy is a spider with lots of webs. He controls numerous outside groups, third-party groups, where he uses his influence. We've seen it internally with Black Lives Matter. We've seen it with the demonstrations that have taken place just after the inaugural. This is what he does. The troubling thing now is he's exporting that and trying to influence foreign policy by meddling in third-party groups which he finances. So this is something I believe, if David will agree with me, that no American should be able to do that and subvert our national foreign policy.
Well, let's ask David, because it does beg the question, should partisan groups like this be handling foreign aid?
Well, first of all, Open Society is not a partisan group. It's a nonprofit. Second of all, I didn't hear in what Brad just laid out anything that was untoward that's been done by Open Society or subverting American values, being Soros an American citizen. I might add also that there are other groups, in fact, that are party-related, meaning the National Democratic Institute, the Republican counterpart of that are all over the globe involved in the political elections, observations, and involved in civic society.
You're right, but that's transparent. That's the difference.
And so, too, is Open Society and transparent. What isn't transparent, since you brought up the word, is the tax returns of our good friend, the President of the United States, being Donald Trump. We might want to spend time in looking into what conflicts of interest exist in this administration, and also the bankruptcies and the last payment that he had to make because he defrauded university students at Trump University.
David, he won.
Those are things
Elections
that we should be looking into,
He's
not
the president.
the good works of
Campaign
the Open Society being that George Soros puts forth.
Brad, do you see any of what David's saying as far as transparency? If we're talking about George Soros, who donates a lot of money, and he's a billionaire, and he donates money to liberal causes, a president who also is extremely wealthy, who never did actually disclose his taxes, and there were questions on whether or not he paid them. So whether he's been elected or not still doesn't necessarily make that go away. I believe a lot of Americans still want to know if he is by the book when it comes to all that money.
Well, he wasn't required under any law or
They've done it over the last 50 years. Every president has done it after the last 50 years.
Tradition, as a lawyer, I will tell you, tradition means nothing. It's the requirement of the law that means everything. And by the way, the jury, the American people, took that into account when they elected him. So he is the president. And if you want to see his tax returns,
they probably wouldn't have elected him if they had seen his tax returns, which is why he didn't put him forth.
But he's not obligated to do it, and the American people didn't think it was important enough, because if they did, he wouldn't be president.
He's thumbing his nose at the American values that have been executed or done by the last presidents of the last 5 decades.
What he's not doing is he's not giving the left a gift to attack each and every item.
And he's not informing his own supporters, who are having, in fact, buyer's remorse.
They don't care.
In having voted for him. You watch and see. And why don't you just put it on the table and have his tax returns released? What's the fear that you or he has?
Fodder for the
just
left.
put it out. It's not fodder for the left. Every other president
I don't know about the buyer's
since
remorse
Nixon has been able to put their tax returns forward and win elections. This president did it without putting forth, through transparency, his tax returns.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate
Thanks.
you coming on.
Good to be with you.
David and Brad, for complete political coverage, stay right here on FoxNews.com. I'm Julie Banderas. Thanks for watching.